We got Gavin twice.
Two Gavins?
I don't know what happened. I'm back.
All right, guys. Welcome to the first ever Coffee with Closers. Myself, David Dodge, Don Costa up here, Gavin Timms. Guys, I'm super excited to be doing this with you guys weekly live on YouTube and on Facebook, and really just using this time to just kind of give back and help people that are struggling. I mean, I feel like I've created a power team with you two guys because we're doing different stuff in real estate, but we're also doing a lot of the same stuff. So we all have different perspectives on what we're doing, guys. And of course, if you have a coffee, Don, I know it's super early out there. Good morning to you, my man. Yep, good morning. So I'm going to kick things off, guys. I already walked 3 miles this morning, went to a closing, small little wholesale, made about $8,000, nothing to write home about. But I am hitting the ground running today. And I know Gavin and Don, I know these guys are closing tons and tons of deals themselves. I was actually doing a little research this morning on like what we had going, right? We do two meetings weekly with my team. And check this out, guys. This is crazy. Right now, I have 50 rental properties, all right? 12 new purchases. I'm a closer, by the way. I love closing deals, right? I have 12 new purchases, a 9-pack, and 3 individuals that we're going to be adding to the rental portfolio. I currently have 3 rentals being rehabbed and 2 being turned over. A lot of moving parts here, but I love this business. 1 listed for sale, which is a 4-family, and 14 of these are pending refi right now. On the wholesale business, and again, I just put this together 5 minutes ago, looking at the meeting notes. Close 1 this morning, which I mentioned. So that's a cool little win. Thank you, Gavin. Thank you. I have 10 under contract in my wholesale business right now. 6 are scheduled to close in the next 30 days. So we are closing deals, guys. This is fun. 3 active joint ventures with a 12-unit, a 23-unit, and a potential 60-house package as well.
So a lot going on. As you can see, Dave's definitely the talker.
I'm in the mix of things, but I know you guys aren't going to be as prepared as I was because I didn't give you any heads up on that.
No, it's all in here.
Let's go around the circle and talk a little bit about what we are closing. That's the point. And then obviously we want to answer questions live and have some fun here tonight. Or this morning.
Yeah, let's make sure we tell people why we're here. I mean, we're here to answer their questions. We're here to have a conversation with them about what they're doing as well, and about setting them up for success. Is the whole point of doing this and having this conversation. And of course, sharing what we're going on. We're all actively doing this business. We're all successful in this business in our own right, and we're going to be sharing a lot of that. And like you said, Dave, giving back to the community. So, Gavin, what you got going on, man?
Yeah, also, I just want to say how we actually got about and why we're here, why us 3. So we talked about this in Tulum back in probably February. Then we were all in Key West, and we kind of didn't we talked about it in Feb, and then we talked about it again. And we're like, look, we keep talking about it. Let's make it happen. And we wanted to do, something different. And we felt that, coffee with closers, something in the morning, even though it's lunchtime for anyone on the East Coast. But Don didn't want to go any earlier, so we had to settle at this. He's not a morning person. But yeah, so we're just here. We want to bring as much value as possible. Any questions you have, make sure you put them in. We're going to have a lot of fun. Again, you can bring your coffee, hang out with us. We're going to be testing things as we go. We might have people calling in, answering questions live. You can put things in the comment. We're going to be talking a lot about what we do in our businesses. Dave gave you a rundown. We're very active as well. And what's unique is that we all do some of the things the same, but we also set our businesses up, very differently. I think Don's got obviously a monster business. He's got the biggest team of us all. I like to travel, work from anywhere. I do everything virtual. We've got 3 flips right now. We buy another one at the end of the month. We're wholesale. We just did 2 wholesale deals last month for $50K each in Alabama.
What?
Another one at 25. Yeah, in a low-end market, right? In a low-end market because there's no spreads there. So we're going to be diving into how do you get bigger spreads in these markets. So we're very active, and we're not here, I think, out of all 3 of us as well, all of us, we're not like chest beating people. You'll know that from when you watch us and our personality. We're just all down to earth. I think that's why I like Don as well. I mean, Don does a lot of business, and he's done things like probably, and he'll share. I don't want to, use his story, but he's been to where he grew too big. He took too much on, lost it all, got it back. So you can learn not only from the wins to motivate you, but also where did it go wrong? What happened in our life? What was the bad thing? So you can also learn from them as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So we're gonna be doing this every week. We've committed to doing this every week. We're gonna look and see what the audience needs as far as their ability to attend these, and we may adjust our time a little bit to accommodate the audience. But the point is, we're committed to you, the audience. We're committed to answering questions. We're committed to helping people take that next step in their business, whether it's just getting their first deal or scaling it into the beast that it can be. So that's the whole point of this. And we are all friends. Like Gavin said, we've hung out in Tulum, Mexico. We've hung out in Key West. I've gotten to hang out with Dave in his home city as well. And it's been a lot of fun getting to know these gentlemen. So, and they are about as real as they see. You see Dave bobbing and having a good time, and that is the way he is all the time.
Dave's ready to go. Dave's ready to go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Dave, if we don't speak right now, like we might as well just get the coffee and chill out.
I sometimes keep my earphones in, even though the speakers are over here, just with music on, just so I can be ready.
Very cool. So we actually have a comment here. It says, I'm having a hard time getting started. I need a push. What can I do first? Dave, you want to run with that one, and then we'll have Gavin chime in on it?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends in terms of, what your goals are. So like, I wouldn't even necessarily give you advice without you having, talk about the goal first. That's my 2 cents, right? So do you want to do virtual wholesaling? Well, like Gavin can talk all about that type of stuff. Are you wanting to do fix and flips? I only have one fix and flip on my schedule right now. So I'm not necessarily doing a ton of those. I'm more into to wholesaling and landlording. So if they had a goal of wholesaling or landlording, then we could obviously put a plan together for them. But I think that to answer this question is really the first thing you should do is start with the goal. Mm-hmm. And then you can put together a plan to achieve it. A goal without a plan is a dream. We all know that. But just saying, I want to be a real estate investor isn't specific enough. Are you wanting to do some fix and flips? Are you wanting to do some wholesales? Or you want to do some landlording? And then we could put together a plan for you. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think as well, like if we knew a bit more, it'd be cool if that was like a calling question so we could actually tailor it to him.
Right.
But for me, I think you've got to be looking. There's so much information out there from YouTube, from us, from courses, from mentors that you might be with. And wherever you are or whatever you're doing, you've got to start taking massive action. I know we talk about it, but I also believe that overwhelm, is a choice, right? Overwhelm comes from taking too much information on and not taking enough action. So what I suggest anyone getting in, whatever it is, that you take 30 minutes of training, and whatever you've just learned, you need to put it into action before you go any further. So break it down into simple steps and just take action on the small piece. And guess what? If you take action on this piece and you take action on the next piece and the next piece, you're going to obviously get where you want to go. So I just say that.
I couldn't say it any better than I think either one of you two. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to pick your path. You have to know what it's going to be. And there's so much information out there and so many podcasts, so much YouTube information, so many choices that you can't allow yourself to try to look at every single shiny object of information that you have out there. Gavin, you hit that one on the head as well. So pick your path. Take the time to implement what it is that you're learning in that path and make sure that you're taking action, massive and perfect action. Look, a lot of people don't want to do anything until they know exactly what to do. And I have learned, through my life that you never know exactly what something's going to look like until you take that step and you take action. I always use the example of car manufacturers. They take a car and they will generally do a drawing, and then they'll do like a computer animation, a CAD of the vehicle, and then they'll do a model of the vehicle, and then they'll actually build the vehicle, and then they'll test drive the vehicle, and then they'll make changes to the vehicle. Is the wheel rubbing against the wheel well? Is it uncomfortable to sit in? Is the head height too low or too high? And they'll make those adjustments along the way, and then they'll end up with the vehicle they sell. And even then it's not perfect. There's recalls. They have things they have to fix, right? So that's a perfect example of business and life and everything else. There's no such thing as perfection out there ever. You're never going to find it. You'll find the closest thing to it by taking action and implementing. That's the only way.
Absolutely.
Man, you guys nailed that one. You nailed it.
No, that's good. Really good.
So, okay, we got one more up here. It says, will topics relate to business in general or a particular industry? And
Ashley's
would say,
one of my friends. I know Ashley very well. Ashley is an insurance agent, and we're going to be talking about in this particular, weekly live, all things real estate and all things that are associated with business, including insurance. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll get Ashley on in a future episode and we can talk about, why that is such an important piece. But Ashley, great question. Real estate specific. And really, we got a power team here because we're all doing real estate, but we're all really focusing our efforts on a little bit different types of real estate investing. So you have a really big picture here for everybody, which is awesome. So Ashley, thanks for watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm open to having general business conversation. Honestly, I'm an entrepreneur first. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've owned cell phone stores, nightclubs, real estate, restaurants,
web development businesses, lawn care companies, guys. Like the list goes on and on. Invested in this and that, and this and that.
Dave, you're a big crypto guy. We're entrepreneurs first, and real estate is our widget. Real estate, instead of going out and building a factory and an assembly line, we got into real estate. Real estate's the widget that drives our entrepreneurial dream. I love having general business questions like team building. I think that's something we can get into here. Who to hire, how to build a team, how to be a good leader. How not to get yourself in trouble with taxes and all the crazy stuff. That would be fantastic topics to have on these episodes. So for sure, I think it's going to go both ways, particularly real estate, the real estate industry, but general business is a great topic.
Yeah. And I think as well, like you need to bring the experts in, right? Like I have an accountant, right, to do his job in accounting and tell me how we need to structure things, right? You don't need to know everything. That's why we have certain professionals in them areas. But it's just how do you work with the right person? I've had a lot of accountants that know nothing about real estate. It's a disaster because they don't know the loopholes of deductions and things that you can do and get away with legally that's going to let you pay more taxes and have more write-offs the right way. So, bringing the right professionals into your business is key. So yeah, I think we'll be hitting that as well as we go.
Fantastic. Sure. Right. I'm going to pop another one up here. So Mr. Singleton, he was the gentleman who asked, having a hard time getting started. I need a push. He says he really wants to do wholesale first and then build it up. So
that's what I do. I do wholesale first and build it up. So really, if you are going to do that, take that approach, that's great. Wholesale is the focus. So check this out, guys. My business, Don, you had said this earlier about business, of course, but like my business, when it's specific to wholesaling, isn't a real estate investing business. Go figure. It's actually a marketing business. So Mr. Singleton, learn how to do marketing direct to motivated sellers. All right. And I'm curious to hear this statistic from Gavin and Don. Last year, my company bought about 100 houses, give or take, and we probably bought about 5 on the MLS. You guys know how many you bought and what percentage were MLS-ish?
0 of ours were MLS.
0 all year. Gavin, any MLS?
Well, I bought a rental from a mother-in-law, but that was because of location and being lazy. But no, not in my real estate business. No, nothing off the MLS. Absolutely not.
Point proven. Thanks, babe. Point proven is that you have to get really good at finding deals, right? Yeah. That's really the goal. So check this out. You probably hear a lot, right? And see a lot of ads of gurus, kind of like, some of the stuff that I'm even putting out, but it'll say, hey, you can flip houses with little to no money. And they're not wrong. We've done that 400 times over at my business, right? But the flipping of the house with little to no money is the easy part. The catch that people don't typically say is you can flip houses with little to no money as long as you're willing to invest time and money into generating the leads. Again, this is a marketing business, guys.
Yeah.
This is a marketing business.
Well, you said go ahead, Gavin.
No, go on. Sorry, Dan. Go on.
You said time and money, right? To me, it's time and money, or time.
It's really or
time or money, right?
It's really or. But here's the deal: even if you invest time, if you invest money only, you have to basically have systems in place to where you don't have time, but that's still going to be time consuming to set up and manage. So there's always going to be some time. The more time you put in, the less money you can put in, and you can essentially do it with no money, but you have to allocate a lot of time. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm freaking lazy as hell. So incredibly lazy. I have 9 virtual assistants to do all of these things for me, right? So I still dedicate an hour or 2 a day into managing these people and looking at the leads that come in and setting up these systems and making sure they're running. But at this point, I would rather spend money on my marketing, AKA salaries and labor and systems, than time. But in the beginning, if you don't have any money, you can still do this. That's the coolest part. You just have to have a time allocation budget.
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just want to say as well, I mean, you've just really answered the question, but you know, when I got started, that's all I did was pound the phone, right? And I started partnering with other wholesalers at dead leads, and I just used to sit there for 10, 12 hours a day just making phone calls and making money, right? So I think you have to put that money in, right? You have to put that time in if you don't have the money. What I think sometimes when we go with this money down and you can do this, is the concept is exactly what it says, but you have to put the effort in. You can't be lazy, right, and then have no money. It doesn't make sense. You've got to bust it if you don't have the money. You've got to make the money, and you've got to reinvest wisely to set the systems up, so then you can scale. Don says, yeah, we are all lazy. And he's right, but we can be lazy because it's not warranting on us to do the work to make things happen. That's why. But don't be deluded and say we started that way, because we didn't. We were pounding that phone. We were pounding. I'm not a guy that goes to the houses, but I was working that phone. Dave was going door knocking and getting in front of sellers, right? And when we're all doing them things to make it happen. So I think back to that question of you want to do wholesaling first, you got to focus. I like to do reverse engineering on the wholesale side. I like to go and build a buyers list and then serve the buyers for what they need. It just makes sense. I think it's easier to convert in the sales cycle when you already know what people are looking for. So I definitely suggest that as well. And so I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So, Mr. Singleton says that he's part of your and Joe's class. So he's studying and training there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're in good hands,
man. Keep it simple though. So, you know, I mean, really the main things is this is a marketing business. Change your mindset right away. Number 2, pick a marketing channel. Like, so make that the activity. Don't just, you know, look at houses on Zillow all day. Start marketing, you know, do something, call, text, door knock, drive, whatever it may be, right? And then once you start getting leads from that channel, add a second channel. But don't think about anything else. Start with the basics, guys. This is the marketing business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and my initial marketing when I first started was networking. It was all effort because I had zero money. It was all, and I got my first deal off the MLS of a deal that fell out of contract because I had networked with an agent that needed somebody to close quickly. Back when I got started again in 2012, the second time.
My first 3 deals were networking. It was a management company that had a client that didn't want to spend the money to fix up the places, and he just wanted to sell them.
Yeah.
And they referred me over to him, and I bought all 3, wholesaled them individually, but it was all 3. So networking, guys, free leads. You just got to put in the time.
That's why I called the company REI Network. Because
there you go.
Yep.
That's what it's all about.
I love it.
We got another question here from it's an identifying Facebook user, but what was the biggest mistake you made when you first started investing, and what did you learn from it?
Okay, I can tell you that right there. Go ahead, Gavin. You're up.
No, go on. You go.
The biggest mistake I made was also the best mistake, right? It was like the best lesson, right? So I went to college and spent 80 grand on a formal education. The first house I bought for 20 grand, and I put 40 in it, and I rehabbed it, and it took me 7 months, and I did like 80% of the work. And really, I walked away from that with it worth about what I was into it for, because I rehabbed it, you know, nice in an area that's not so nice. But it was a great lesson, right? So I would say, you know, if you want to be a real estate investor, don't swing a hammer. Pick one or the other. If you want to be a contractor, be a contractor, right? But change your mindset. So going in there, that was a huge waste of time, but it was one of the best lessons because I know that I don't want to be messing with plumbing stacks or roofs or window installs or stains and fumes for paint and flooring and having to have all these tools that I have to track around, right? I'd rather build relationships with people that do those things and enjoy those things and really just kind of run the show, right? Move pieces around the board. So I think that was kind of one of my biggest mistakes, but again, also one of the biggest learning things. Like I know now what I don't want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've all got, I mean, I have a lot of them, right? I've never lost on a flip. I've never lost money. I think mine's more from an emotional standpoint. Is that one of the biggest mistakes I used to make is that just because I get a contract and I get a buyer, I think I'm done. I think I'm paid, right? And I think one of the biggest things is that the deal is never done until it's done, right? Until the money hits the bank and the final paperwork is signed. Just because he wants this and she wants that and put it together, I'm making $10,000. I'm done. And already I'm thinking I'm spending it. I'm making my next moves on marketing. I'm doing this. And then all of a sudden there's a lien and I'm like, what? This is not how it's supposed to go. What do you mean I'm not going to make 10 grand? And that's gone now. So that was the big thing for me is thinking that once, because it's in contract, that everything's just going to close and happen. So make sure you see your contracts through, okay, and make sure that you are not doing that. You're not spending the money, and hopefully, guys, you're not spending it on personal things. You should be reinvesting a good portion of it. But whatever you're doing, don't make them moves until you know the deal is actually done and it's hit your account.
I'm going to give a little bit of different advice on that very first check. I agree with you 100% on everything you said. There's no such thing as a verbal. A signed contract doesn't mean anything until it's closed, and closing doesn't mean anything until the money's in the bank. But the one thing I will say is that very first check you get, I think 50% of it should be reinvested back in your business. I think 50% of it should be, you should reward yourself. You should celebrate the win, because there's something the mindset wise that says that I just got a bigger check in one chunk than I've ever gotten in my entire life. And I'm going to do something stupid with part of it, because that's going to drive you. I feel like
you got to pay yourself.
You got to pay yourself. You got to show yourself that I succeeded. And because the reason I say that out loud is because I failed to do that through my career. Even now, I fail to do that sometimes. There's things I do for myself all the time. I fly first class because I want to be comfortable, and I like hotels. No, I'm just saying. But I don't. I also drive a Chevy pickup, and it's paid for. I don't drive fancy cars. But the point is, I fail to reward myself. I think all of us do from time to time. And there's something mindset wise that helps when you do that. So, always reinvest in your business. Do it in percentages. This much goes back to marketing. This much goes back to my growth and building my team. This much goes to paying myself. This much goes to the government, and this much goes to celebration and fun, right? Yeah. And it's kind of the profit first scenario, which is a conversation we can get into probably another episode. But every check should have a percentage that goes somewhere for your success.
Yeah. And I just want to say as well that your first deal, is the biggest deal of your life. Because mine was $1,500 and still the most important deal to date, because it was proof of concept, right? Mm-hmm. I could do it. I would have took 500. I probably would have made $20 or $10. The fact that I've just put something through, we're using paper and didn't own it and did all these things and assigned, and it actually worked, was just massive. Again, $1,500, and it was the biggest deal today because it was the one that was like, I can do it. This actually works. And
You're telling me that I can use paper to get control of this property and then sell this paper? You're telling me this insane. Is a thing?
Yeah, insane. And once you get that,
when you do that first deal, everything changes.
100%.
Like, what?
Yeah. So biggest mistake I think I ever made was waiting too long to take action. That would be. Yeah.
So I got another one, guys. The first 10 years of my investing, I wasn't doing it right. I've been investing about 16 years, so I've only really been doing it right for the last 6. So what was I doing the first 10 years? I was buying houses on the MLS via an agent, paying full retail for them. Now, these were rentals. They weren't, I wasn't necessarily looking for deals, but I wasn't looking because I didn't even know. And literally 6 years ago, I was like, whoa, there's this thing out there called motivated sellers. And they have houses and they're like, we'll sell them to you at a big discount. What? Where do I find these people? And when I learned that, everything changed. I went from buying one house a year consistently for 10 years, which is pretty good. to buying 30 that next year, then 60, then 100. Because I learned that there's these motivated sellers out there and you can easily market to them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's either you call or contact them or you put something out into the universe that gives them the ability to call and contact you. Love it.
Okay, here's a good question for you guys. When you're doing a JV and your partner has the contract under their name with the seller, you're going to bring in the buyer. Is there something I would need to sign?
Yeah, a joint venture agreement.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned it earlier, but you're probably just saying, oh, we're joint venture and like a partnership. It's verbal. But use a one-page joint venture agreement to set up an agreement with you and that partner. Also, in theory, you shouldn't really be marketing that person's property to your buyer without that agreement. We do it all the time. Let's be honest, especially if it's just one text or one call.
I think as well, just to jump on that real quick, is that it comes down to networking again. How well do you know the person, right? Now, if I was going to do a JV with Don and or Dave, we're not going to start signing JV agreements. We're just going to get it done, right? Because the relationship's there.
Right.
So if you don't know this person,
it gets to the closing table, though, we will, because they're going to need that in order to know where to distribute funds whenever we have a profit.
Technically, yes and no, because what we do is that I just get paid off the hood. So that's 100% thing that needs to happen. So if I'm going to JV with Don, Don can send in the contract under his name. But when it comes to then distribution of the funds, they tell title, hey, 50% is going here and 50% is going there.
Yeah.
So I never ever let, this is really important, never let your wholesaler, your partner, your friend or whatever collect all the funds, okay? One of the biggest things in this business is cash flow.
I don't let them collect any of them. So I'm going to make it even easier.
Well, let me just say this, cash flow problems, right? People have cash flow problems. So if I get 50 grand and I owe Don 25 grand and it comes to me and I go, well, hold on a minute, I got 50 grand here and I owe Don 25. But what if I can reinvest quick, do another deal, and then pay Don?
Buy Bitcoin on Tuesday, and then by Wednesday morning, it's doubled.
Exactly. So what you need to do is, it's not your money, so we get paid off the hood. So I never collect as the wholesaler or that person. Make sure you get paid off the hood. That's how we do all of our deals.
So it's fantastic, and that's great. Gavin, you pointed out something that's very important. It doesn't matter. There's some really successful people in this business that are doing hundreds of deals a year that are bleeding and dying cash flow.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, a lot of people,
because they're not running a real business. So that's just a practical reality. What I would say, JV agreement with somebody you don't know is very important. If it's not written on paper, it might be written on water. That's a fact. If you don't have a JV agreement in place, make sure that you know who the title company is, and you are letting the title company know that you are bringing the buyer to the table and you're entitled to part of that. Put the title company on notice. They're a neutral third party. Title attorney, they're a neutral third party. If they're on notice that you may be owed money, they're not going to allow that deal to close until that's cleared up. So just steps you can take to protect yourself if you don't have something in writing.
It's great advice, guys. That's awesome.
100%.
So let me throw this one up here. So is there a form that is needed to have a potential buyer sign to protect myself? That'd be an assignment agreement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So these are all forms that we can throw in as well. We're going to be doing.
I'm making a note.
Yeah.
So we need a JV. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to put some documents together that you can get free downloads to. We haven't got them yet because as we go, we're going to be like, oh, I got this. We can put that in. So we're going to do a JV agreement and assignment agreement.
So watch here. This is your plug to watch here live. We'll let you know in the next week or two that link is live. You'll be able to go to a link. You'll be able to choose either all the documents are available or the ones you want to download and download those. And we'll have that all for you. And they'll evolve as we see the needs of the group. We're here to give back to the community. So,
100%.
All right.
And can I just say one thing real quick? And I don't
no, absolutely not.
This is possible, but can you, like, if you're watching us in the YouTube in Facebook, try and share this to as many people, invite as many people as you can to the group. Again, we want to reach as many people. We're not here to sell anything. All right. We're not going to be pitching you on things.
Mm-hmm.
We're not here to do that at all. So if you can just share, invite your friends to the group, get as many eyeballs as you can, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So we have another one here. We have an agreement in place with the other partner or with the partner. I just need to know if I need to sign something between myself and the buyer. Yes. No. If you have a JV agreement, let me step back here just to understand what this question is. If you have a JV agreement in place and the other partner has the agreement with the seller, then that partner is assigning to your buyer. If you assign to your buyer, you don't technically have an agreement. You can't do that. So I want to make sure you don't sign anything with the buyer. You could probably, honestly, if I were you, it'd be a safe bet. I think we lost Gavin.
No, it's just his camera. There it
I
is.
know, I'm messing with him because we had that issue yesterday. So if I were you, what I would do is have the assignment agreement have 2 signatures on it, and the partner signs the assignment agreement, and then you sign the assignment agreement to the buyer. That would be a layer of protection. It doesn't really legally mean much, but it's, again, you can show intent if that person ever tries not to pay you. So that would be something I would probably do. But again, as Gavin said, it depends on how well you know this person. So
yeah. Awesome.
Kevin,
but
Carroll,
joint ventures are great place to start, guys. I mean, my business probably does 20 joint ventures a year on average to help other investors that are new or wholesalers connect with those buyers. So if you're new,
as well,
find the local guy in your market that's doing 50 to 100 deals, and there's probably 10 of those people in your market, maybe more. And, go create a relationship with them. That way, if you stumble across a deal and you're new and you don't really know exactly what to do with it, you might be able to bring it to somebody like me or Don or Gavin here, and they can turn that into 20 grand and kick you $10,000, $12,000 right back. So joint ventures are amazing. I think a lot of people underutilize them. I don't look as anybody in my market, let alone the nation, as a competitor. I look at every one of these other investors that are also marketing to the same deal as me as a strategic partner, because I can't be on the phone with every seller every day. But if they catch them, let's say somebody else, a competitor, which is really a strategic partner, gets them on the day that they're motivated and gets that contract, I may still be interested in buying the contract and paying them an assignment, assuming there's still meat on the bone. So everybody is your partner out there. Change your mindset. Nobody's competition. Use everyone else to help you find deals or sell them.
I just want to say, and then we'll move on to this next question. I've never done a deal on my own from start to finish, whether I've been the marketer, whether I've been the acquisition, whether I've been the dispo.
That's a humble brag. I love it.
I've never done a deal on my own. I've never marketed, took it down, sold it, signed it to closing. I've never done all the steps in one go, ever.
I love it. And you don't have to, guys. There's ways to automate this business, which I love. And
that's how I started doing more deals. Because guess what? When I was in acquisition role, locking deals up, 50-50 split, I was passing them on and I'd go on the next. So that's how I started to churn. Because guess what? If I had to go now dispo, I'm not on the phone. I'm not bringing in contracts. So for me, it made sense. So that's how I did.
Work your strengths and find some help to work on the things that need to get done that, either are, low dollar an hour tasks or things that you're not good at. Right. So love it. What does Kevin Carroll say? I love Kevin
Carroll. Yeah. Kevin Carroll, my man, my boy, Kevin Carroll has definitely impacted me in some positive ways when we're out and having a good time. He is a very smart man. I want to throw that out there. And he's with REI Black Book, which is an amazing organization. So when the market is hot, high prices, low inventory, do you change marketing strategies to find motivated sellers? And when the market cools down, change strategies again? I want to jump in there and say, I kind of ebb and flow with what everybody says isn't working. When somebody says a marketing channel isn't working, that's the one I go after. So it doesn't really matter what the market's doing. That's the one I go after. But I will say that, like right now with COVID, and the market being hot, sales cycle has changed. There are longer sales cycles. So we definitely do focus on some of the lower cost marketing channels with longer sales cycles than we do when the market is cooled down and it's a little easier to grab sellers. But I usually go after the channels people are saying aren't working, because that means there's a mass exodus. And when there's a mass exodus, that marketing channel usually takes off and does really well for me.
Yeah, I want to say as well, it's where you also focus, isn't it? Right?
It is. It's the one you do.
It's the one you do, and you do the most of will win. So, but to answer you, I guess mine's cold calling for me. Yeah. So mine's always cold calling. That's my number. Am I getting Is anyone getting feedback? I'm getting feedback.
No, we're good. We don't hear you.
Okay, I don't know why. So is no one else getting feedback? Why am I getting feedback? Dave, it's probably you. Have you got it playing in the background or something? Okay, well, I'm just going to keep talking. So anyway, mine is cold calling is my number one because that's where 90% of my efforts go. So that's why. But the others all work. Every marketing works, but for me, it's cold calling. I don't know about you guys.
So I'm kind of always changing strategies in a way. I stick to the main things like cold calling, cold texting, direct mail. Also do some AdWords and various other activities like bandit signs, tons of driving for dollars, which turns into cold calls and cold text and direct mail. And of course, I'll even get out of the car and door knock or see a dumpster and see somebody working and go figure out who, what's going on. Because they could be a buyer if they're a rehab company or builder. It could be a seller trying to fix their home up by themselves and not know what they're doing. I get out of the car, right? So have a lot of strategies, of course. But what I say whenever I'm changing them constantly is I'm constantly tweaking certain things within those.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine you guys are as well too. So
we're watching the data. We're, what the data tells us is about the particular list or the time of year to mail that list. So I'm always watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I use cold calling to be consistent, right? And then I play with other channels. But I'm always reliant back on that one that I've just seems to be the best for me because I focus on it the most.
Yeah, cold calling and cold texting is the most cost efficient and effective right now, I feel like, in terms of cost per lead to reach and get them on the phone or leave them a voicemail or send them a text message. Things are going to be changing though at the end of this month. I don't think it's going to go away. Well, I think it's just going to limit the people that are doing super high volume.
I'm going to skip a couple of questions here. We'll go back to them. So it says, what would cold calling or SMS be better in this market? What are the new changes to SMS marketing that may affect going forward? There are some laws that have been on the books that are going into effect around June or July.
It's June 1st.
Yeah, it's going to change text message impact it significantly. Is it going to die? No, but it's going to change it significantly, and your liability is going to be huge. So cold calling, I would say if you're going to start doing something right now, I would put my money into cold calling and not necessarily into building momentum in SMS because SMS is changing significantly.
Yeah, and really, like even the big companies, the ones that I use and that I follow, they don't really even know quite yet what the landscape's going to look like. Here's what we do know. You're going to have to register every number that you're going to be doing outbound marketing on, no matter if it's cold calling or cold texting. And you're going to have to basically register your new campaigns, which again, I don't know how, that might be kind of gray, right? Like can one number be a consistent campaign, or is that like every day I add a new campaign I need to go? We don't know that quite yet, right? But numbers will have to be registered. Campaigns will have to be registered. And then also your entity is going to have to be registered, and that will be attached to that phone number and that campaign. So again, there's going to be a ton of transparency in the marketing that's going on. But in a way, I almost am kind of happy about it because I get tons and tons of unsolicited calls and texts all day. And it is kind of annoying, right? So I think it's going to be good for those that aren't abusing the system. But I think those people that are sending out 40,000 text messages a day, it's going to be good for the mass public because they're not going to be able to do that anymore. But I think if you are acting responsibly and you are, and you do have a campaign for a specific reason and you're only using your marketing time and efforts towards that thing, I think that that will be okay. Again, a lot of changes are going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. And we're going to keep you guys in the loop because we're all doing cold calling and cold texting. At least I know I am. Gavin's doing a ton of it, and I'm sure Don is too. At least the calling side of things.
We have 4 cold callers, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here, Mr. Singleton. Which software do you guys recommend, PropStream or Pen Plus? I'm familiar with PropStream. I'm not familiar with Pen Plus. A lot of times, to be honest with you, it's the same product, but I don't honestly know.
Yeah, I've seen a couple white labels of it actually.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. That's a good point.
I'm going to pull it up here real quick. So I've been using PropStream for several years, guys. It is amazing software for $100 a month. I'm going to be honest. Basically, whenever I have a new student that comes on that doesn't have local MLS access or access in the market they want to invest in, I tell them get this immediately because you have unlimited comps nationwide. So check that box. but also you can pull 10,000 leads a month out of there, included in the $100 that you pay. So you're basically penny a lead, and has a mobile app and driving for dollars built into it. So it's probably the best value out there for software. It's where I tell everybody, you know, basically you're kind of required if you're working with me to have this, because if you can't comp a property, you can't reverse engineer your offer. And if you don't have a solid offer to make, then you're spinning your wheels. Why even spend time and money on marketing, right? So you got to be able to comp properties. You got to be able to know what your ARVs are in order to know if you're going to be able to get a discount or a deal on it, right? So highly recommend PropStream. I don't know anything about Pin Plus, but I can tell you PropStream's proven. It's used by tens of thousands of people. You know, I personally, nothing negative about Pin Plus, but I wouldn't even waste my time. Go with what people are using, what works, and what's basically proven, right? It helps me close deals every day. I'm out using the app comping properties every time I'm looking at one. Every time.
Yeah. I want to say as well, just real quick though, you have to be careful with technology because it's easy to hide behind it and get kind of like busy doing nothing, right? So don't do like, oh, well, I spent 7 hours on PropStream learning it. All you're doing is you're not taking any action, you're not getting anywhere. So make sure there's all this noise and software. And if you're new, like Mr. Singleton was saying, like, you just got to be careful. Don't hide behind your software. Don't get all in the weeds. Just get sellers, get on the phone and start making some offers. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. I can trace back several $100,000 worth of profits to PropStream. So
I know, right?
All right. So Divine.
Great question though.
Yeah, it was. Hey, hero buddies. So we have a friend from Key West here. Which
Divine Diva, hey girl.
Yeah. So which methods is best to reach motivated sellers? Cold calling, knocking on doors, direct mail, SMS, or RVM?
All of them. All of them work.
The first thing I'll say is the one you do is going to be the most successful marketing channel.
Yeah.
I love it. I would hug you if I could.
And we're gonna say that every week. That this question comes up, it will not change.
Yeah. But I will say, okay, so between 2018 and 2019, to the 2 years combined, 24 months, I sent out 2 million postcards. I had very, very, very high success with direct mail, but I also knew the data. I watched the data very closely. I'm not mailing at that volume right now, obviously with COVID and everything else and the sales cycle changing. I'm still doing direct mail, just not at that volume. But direct mail has always been tried and true for me through the years. It's the one channel that's always going to be there. I started as a door knocker. My first deal was door knocking pre-foreclosure way back in 2003. My first deal in the business, my second time around after I lost everything, I started again, was off the MLS, like I said, through networking. But the very first deal I ever got in my life was from door knocking. I did it for 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, every day. I door knock pre-foreclosure. I had a lot of success with that, but that was a channel that I did day in and day out. We have 4 cold callers right now. We're making a lot of money pulling data from PropStream and sending over to skip tracing them and sending them to cold callers. And we're making a lot of money. That is really our best marketing channel with direct mail right now. But those 2 marketing channels, direct mail and cold calling, are the ones that I'm doing right now. So it goes back to what you do is what makes you successful. What you do, you understand, and what you track. You have to track your marketing. You have to understand your numbers, the results you're getting. There are times to mail, like in July, it's not a great time to mail in the Fresno market. It's just not. And I know that now because I'm watching my data. So I know when to put the gas on and when to pull the gas off to make a marketing channel successful. There's the law of diminishing returns, where you get to a point where it doesn't matter how much you spend on that channel, it's not going to give you any more money because you've tapped that channel. There's like a reverse, like a hockey stick, where if you don't spend enough money, you're not going to get any leverage or any action. You want to be in a sweet spot. So it's important to know your numbers in that channel. And then you have to do that channel to be successful.
Yeah. I just want to say, if you don't know your numbers, you don't have a business, right?
Right.
So if you don't know your numbers, you don't have a business. And what Don is saying there is that he's using his own data and his own findings through trial and error to create what works for him. So don't think, well, how do I know that July is not good in my market? You have to test, you have to split test, you have to run tests, and then you will know what's working and kind of
Can you do 4 of them? Like 4 small ones? Like we had 3 small ones?
4 small ones. Let me see here.
Like to where that's not the full screen?
Doesn't
if not, no big deal.
No, I don't think I can. Mm-mm.
No.
Either way, marketing is happening in the background right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I got cold callers on the clock from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. It looks like I only have one caller on right now here, right? But back to, earlier question about marketing, you can automate a lot of this stuff, guys. That's the coolest part. And one of the things that I really, really, really love about Gavin and Don is they lead with creating a lifestyle, not a cell. And what I mean by cell, like a prison cell, we don't need that anymore, right? Not a prison cell, right? They basically are building their businesses with a vacation right around the corner in mind, not 15 months away, right? So we're all setting up systems here. So we have done all of the things, and we still do, and help our team do all of these things. But automation is possible, and we highly recommend it, and want to encourage and teach you, everybody watching, how to do it as well too. So, just because cold calling is time consuming doesn't mean you got to do it, but somebody's got to do that marketing. Just know that marketing is the business, right? So earlier, we had a guy say, where do I start? And we said, well, you need to have a goal. And I kind of want to just circle back to that just for 1 second, because you do want to have a goal so you can put together a plan. But check this out. If you get really good at marketing and you lead with that, and that's the business, and you go out and you find a hell of a deal, 50 cents on the dollar, you could, screw up every which way and still make a profit. Check this out. The door for fixing flipping it opens now. You now have an opportunity there. The door to get it rented and fixed up and rented and maybe even bird out and get all your money back, it opens now. And now the door to wholesale, it's open now too. So you have all of these opportunities, right? You have all of these doors that normally would be closed to you if you get the deal. So start, when it comes to real estate investing, focusing on the marketing, the direct to seller marketing. And then when you come across a deal, you can decide if you want to keep it and cherry pick it. And that's really the coolest thing is Gavin's doing that. I'm doing that. Don's doing that. We're cherry picking the best deals for ourselves. We basically have a motto that we all kind of share, and it's keep the best, wholesale the rest.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm wholesaling 5 to 10 deals a month, and I'm not even focused on wholesaling. I'm focused on finding rentals and flips for me. And when the good ones come in, I keep them. But really every day when I wake up, I'm not like going on Zillow and looking at random properties for sale. I'm going to my team and looking at my marketing channels and figuring out what conversations they've had with people. And if there's anybody with, imminent problems that we can solve. Right. Mm-hmm. And when I come in and I say, hey, I can offer you a ton of value, I demand a discount. If somebody's not willing to give me a 30% discount on their property, I'm not leaving my house. I'm not going to looking at that. I demand a discount. And it probably took me 2 or 3 years, guys, to change my mindset of chasing people around, to see and hope and beg that they would give me a deal, to pulling back and saying, you know what? I'm going to start disqualifying myself. And now that's what I do on every call. Hey, this is Dave. Thanks for calling House Sold Easy. I'm an investor. I don't pay retail, but I'd love to buy your house and I'll pay cash. That's the pitch. I lead with it. And then people that say, oh, well, you don't pay retail. Well, I'm looking to get, 150 and the Zestimate's 155. It's like, I'm not your buyer. Go call an agent. Right. Mm-hmm. So a couple little lessons. That's Dave's rant for today.
No, that's really good. No, that's
Sorry
good.
about that.
And it was unique though, as well. Like just to point out the differences in our businesses is that I'm not going to any house. So, Dave loves to go and see the house and he loves that because that's what he does. I don't. I'm like, I want to make sure that we're getting it over the phone, right, as much as we can, and we're closing. So that's the unique way of setting these business up. This one's actually a really important question, Don, this next one.
Yeah. How many people are you guys contacting a day, week, month? And what is your success rate? So
for me, I'm going to keep it real simple for you, right? I expect 1 to 2 leads every 3 to 4 hours of cold calling. Okay, that is my goal. And the reason it's very like, well, 1 to 2 is because it depends on the market, depends where you're doing it, right? If you're going to be in Dallas or you're going to be in Houston, you know, you're probably looking at 1 lead in 4 hours, right? Now, if I go to Mississippi, I'm probably going to get 3 in 4 hours, right? So just depends on a lot of things. But I personally demand, or I would say 1 to 2 leads every 3 to 4 hours. I want to keep it super simple, and that's kind of what we look for.
And that's
Cold
why
calling.
I think we encourage the automation of it, guys. 1 to 2 leads for 3 to 4 hours of your time. Hey, if you don't have any money, then that's where you start. That's where we started. Get to work.
Yeah. And the cool thing is as well is clients that I work with, if they're on the 9 till 5, they've got leads sitting there when they get off. Right?
I love it, man.
So the focus of I've only got 2 hours a day. Well, 2 hours a day doing what? You can't be searching on Zillow for 2 hours and not have any interaction. So I think everyone's got their own unique way, but that's kind of what I look for. And then you just multiply more cold callers, more data, more dials, more leads, and you build and grow depending on what you're trying to do. But that's on cold calling for me. Don, I mean, or Dave, I know Don, especially for direct mail. I don't know about you, Dave, if you're doing that, but
well, let's keep it simple at that. I think that's reasonable, you know, because for us with cold callers, we burn data, right? We're in several states. You know, I'm skip tracing, you know, 50 to 80,000 lists, you know, size lists in one shot generally.
Damn.
And so you know, and we're sending off to multiple cold callers and you know, but we're expecting, you know, I think that's a reasonable expectation. 3 hours of cold calling should be 1 to 2 leads. I think that's a great way for somebody to start and to keep it kind of simple. With direct mail, when we, you know, basically 50% of the calls I know are going to be take me off the list. And then, you know, 50% of the calls are going to be somewhat of a possible lead. You know, and we're going to want, I generally wanted my lead managers to book 4 appointments a day with the volume of direct mail we're doing. Like I said, we're doing about 1 million pieces a year. So just a little under 100,000 pieces a month. And I wanted 4 appointments a day. I had 5 lead managers, so I wanted 20 appointments a day. But that was
nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's right. And it's
Every
cool.
time you tell me about your business, I'm impressed.
My business is not that size right now, but to be very clear. We're
but
virtual.
I mean, here's the deal. It's I'm not even like relating that to doing deals or profits per se,
Right.
even though that's the goal.
Mhm.
I'm relating that to like, holy cow, you're taking 3 times more action than me, and it's inspiring me to like find us a way to like, you know, start doing more mail. I'm jealous, but in a good way. Like, holy cow, if you can do it, there's no reason I can do it. And guys, if I can do it,
the thing is, do you want to do it? That's the thing is, do you want to do it? That's the important.
That's the difference. That's the difference there, right?
It's not. It depends on what you want. Like, it doesn't work for me, but I'm impressed by it because it's fantastic. But I don't want a acquisition. I don't want to deal with all that.
I've scaled back since COVID, though. I want to be clear. Like, I've
scaled
way back.
We all have.
I'm conservative. Yeah. So,
but still, though, it's impressive, and I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
no problem. So, Kevin Carroll, basically, this is a rock star panel. Thank you guys for sharing, Kevin. We all love you, man.
Hell yeah, Kevin. Thanks, buddy.
REI Black Book. I'll throw that out there again. Are there any platforms to find buyers or for finding a buyer? Facebook groups are always a great place to do it. Local meetups are always a great place to do it. PropStream, you can actually pull a buyer's list off of PropStream. Is there anything I'm missing? List Source,
Batch you can do.
Batch will do it. Yeah, PropStream is a great resource. I have some students that are basically reverse wholesaling right now. So they're new to the game, and you know, before they came to me, they were just spinning their wheels and not having much luck with their marketing. And I said, okay, what kind of marketing are you doing? They were just doing all different types of marketing and lots of it in different categories, but they didn't really have much of a focus on anything. And I said, well, in order to be successful and to really scale, you know, let's maybe take a break from all that marketing that you're doing and do some different types of marketing. So let's go find buyers. So if you go into Facebook groups, not the big 50,000 groups, 50,000 people groups, guys, go into like the local one. Like if you live in Indianapolis, like type in Indianapolis wholesalers or Indianapolis real estate investors or Indianapolis landlords and get in these smaller groups. When people post properties, you're going to see 20, 30, 50 comments sometimes with people that are sending their email over or wanting information. So there is tons, I mean, talking hundreds of buyers that you can build relationships with and meet on Facebook alone. Craigslist is the same way. Go on Craigslist and look for people posting ads of, looking to buy your house. Google AdWords is probably the best way to find the big players. Go into Google, type in sell house fast Tampa. If you live in Tampa, see the people that are paying you to click on their sites. Meet them, joint venture with them, find what they're looking for. Then if you're new and you don't have a ton of time or a ton of money to blanket an entire market with 100,000 pieces of mail, and you maybe only have 6 or 8 hours a week to cold call, now you know what zip codes to call. Now you know that your buyers want 3 families or 2-story singles in this neighborhood. And you're not just spinning your tires. So lots of ways to approach it. Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say realtors, obviously, but I don't know if you just said
right.
that. Realtors
Absolutely.
are good because one realtor might have 10 cash buyers. Looking at rentals on Zillow, you can call rentals. If they've got one up for rent, they might want to buy another one. Also, as well, guys, I don't know if I told you this, but we talked to Batch. They've got a promo on for 5,000 free leads right now.
Yeah.
I talked with them that they gave a link for. I'll just put it in. I'll just put it up. If you want to pull a buyer's list, you can get 5,000 records. If you want to go to batchleads.io/closers. So I appreciate Batch for doing that for us.
Yeah,
you can pull seller lists and also cash buyers from there if you want to skip trace them and reach out that way. So I just wanted to throw that out. Batchleads.io/closers.
Yep. I've been using them for about 1.5 years. And I love it, man. I like the skip tracing over there. Really, it's kind of my favorite feature. We use it for SMS. They just added direct mail. We use it for list stacking and pulling leads, kind of making the pivot from PropStream over to there. But I'm using both, of course. But the coolest feature about Batch Leads is you don't ever pay to skip trace the same lead twice, guys. So think of my screen as your market, and you do like a big area over here for vacants. Right, I'm gonna go even bigger. Like you kind of do like 60%, right? And then that's because that's all you can afford, right? Let's be real. And then 2 weeks later, you want to do this side of it, right? But you have this overlap in the middle here, right? Well, you can pull those leads and dump them into the skip trace and not have to worry about pulling those leads out. Basically, if it already has that name and that address and that data in there, it just pulls it off the list. You don't pay for it twice. And I think that this is like literally one of the most underrated features out there. I haven't seen other platforms that are doing the match savings. And if you're new, it's not going to be as valuable as if you are, growing your business, because like literally last month, I saved $1,200 on dumping leads into skip trace that I already owned. So the more and more you use it, the more this is going to start snowballing because you're going to have more and more data of your own. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's we have questions coming in. We were talking about just doing today for an hour. But I think if you gentlemen want to stay on longer, I have to catch a flight. I'm going to be going to Nashville today. I have to catch a flight. So I'm going to hop off here in about 2 minutes.
Of course, Gavin, I got 10 or 15 minutes, man. I'm not in the
let's do an extra
Gavin,
10.
you got control of the panel. So I'm going to.
Yeah, I don't have control, so Gavin's going to have to drive. Yeah, let's take a couple more, guys. I'm having fun. This is great.
I want to answer. I'm going to skip a couple questions. I want to answer this one question personally here off of YouTube. It says, concerning old leads, how far back in time should you go? 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? We have bought deals that have been in our database for over 2 years.
We've bought deals that have been in ours for over 4.5.
Yeah. So exactly. So you should always be following up. Following up is our number one marketing channel, period. It's free and it's available. And it's the one that makes us the most money. And part of the reason why we're buying so many follow-up deals right now in COVID from old leads in our database is because the comps have changed. Markets are doing this right now. The prices are going up and the seller hasn't budged. They wanted 160 and they're not changing it. They still want 160, but guess what? The comp has went up 40 grand. I can pay 160 now. And that's huge for our business this last year. We made so much money because of that. And if we hadn't been following up with old leads, that wouldn't have been the case for us. So you always follow up. I want to hammer that. That's my mic drop for the day before I move on. So
I love it. Don, thank you so much. Safe travels, my friend.
Yeah, enjoy. Appreciate it. Thanks, Dom. Have a good one.
All right, guys. So you have a wonderful day. I'm going to leave here and you all continue. And I can't wait to do this again next week. All right.
Now we can talk about you. All right. Thanks.
I love it.
No, that was awesome. For me, 9% of my deals come from follow-up. All right. So I want to throw that out. Again, we're not just one call and locking these things up. On average, probably 3 to 4 months. In some markets, 5 to 6 on
Mine's
average.
4 to 6 months on average.
Yeah.
From the time that the lead comes in, right? Which could mean it could mean that's our initial outbound call or text or mail to them, right?
Yeah.
Really not even, because if we send a postcard, it's when they call us. So it's basically whenever we talk with them on the phone, call it that, right? To the time that we're able to purchase the home, on average, it's 4 to 6 months. And here's something that I would think, Gavin, it would happen over time, is that as time goes on, the average is actually going to get longer. And the reason is, I mean, this is pretty basic, but the reason is because every time there's an opportunity for us to add a lead into the system, we do. And then from there, we follow up with that lead until they sell that house to somebody else, or they tell us to leave them alone and to stop calling. We'll obviously respect the hell out of people that way. We don't want to spam or, overstep our boundaries, but we will continue to keep following up via call and text and email or whatever it may be until we're able to buy it, or until they sell to somebody else, or until they tell us to stop. So if they haven't sold it to me or to somebody else, in 2 or 3 or 4 years goes by, you better bet your butt that they're going to be getting a call from us at least once a month or at least once a quarter. In some cases, we'll call a landlord and he'll say, I just leased it, call me in a year. And then guess what? We're going to call them in 6 or 7 months. But the follow-up is everything. I mean, literally the money is in the follow-up. So much so that if I do if I have a decent month or a good month, however you want to look at it, and we do 10 wholesale deals, typically only 1, if not 2 of those that come in that close that month were leads that came in that month.
Yeah.
Typically 9 of them. Typically 9 of them have come in 2, 3, 4, 7, 10 months earlier.
And I'll go one better. That money's in the follow-up, but profit is in the follow-up, right? Profit is in the follow-up because you've already spent the money on the marketing. This is important. So the profit is in the follow-up because you've already spent the money to get the lead. So the more you follow up and the more you close, then your KPIs will get better, your ratio will get better, and it's literally all profit because you didn't close them immediately, right? So there's different ways to actually run your KPIs on that. But again, 3 to 4 months on average for me in one of the markets, and about 5 to 6 months on the other. And you should be following up because it's probably going to come. How do you follow up? Text, calls, automation if you're using CRMs. But again, automation should be only built for cold follow-up. Anything warm, hot, it needs to be the personal.
Man, I'm really happy you mentioned that, because I recently took all of my leads out of my system and put them into a new system that had, more automated follow-up, easier, right? So I'm still using both systems. I don't recommend you guys do this. This is kind of level 10, but I wanted basically 6,000 leads to basically start getting automated follow-up. And what I found is the automated follow-up is awesome for the cold lead follow-up, but for the warm lead follow-up, it doesn't make sense to send somebody an email or a text message if you can just call them and they're willing to answer your call and you can have a conversation with them. So basically, Gavin, I cannot disagree, or I should say I cannot agree more with you on what you just said. Right? There's only you can automate it to a certain extent, and even if it's and that may even mean bringing in a human to do that. But
exactly, the word automation is kind of like cloudy, isn't it? Automation of the system should be cold to engage, back onto the phone, back onto you,
back onto the warm,
the acquisition.
That's such a good point. On the phone. I think a lot of people, and if you're new, that's not going to be as important. I mean, follow up is very important, of course. But once you start having lots and lots of leads in there, dedicate the good ones to real people calling, or ready to text back if there's a thing, versus it just being sent out and then you're kind of waiting around. Love it. So
we got some questions. So we got about another 5 minutes. So I'm just going to knock some of these out. So
let's do it.
Real Estate Rod had another one on this one. This one's kind of a personal one to me, so I'm going to answer it. We're going to be doing the 5 sellers. We're going to be advertising that. So watch out for the email, Rod. I know that you're on my channel. So watch out for that next week. We're actually going in 2 weeks' time. We're going to be going live. So make sure you get on it. Next one is here. Preference between creating rentals versus seller finances for your cherry-picked deals. Do you want to go first? So what are you mainly doing, I guess, is the
Yeah, so
answer.
I am actually doing mostly rentals right now, but I am in the process of doing 2 seller finance deals because I want to expand my horizons. Being a landlord is great, but you're also dealing with tenants and toilets. When you seller finance and you carry the note or wrap around your existing note, you are able to eliminate all that. So just another approach to I'm assuming you're talking about on the disposition side, but maybe you're
Yeah,
talking about.
basically. Well, no, I think the question is, yeah, I think like, so your preference, you get this under contract. What are you doing? Are you taking more rentals? Are you doing more seller finance? Are you doing more
Yeah, so
flip?
right now it's like we got about 50 rentals. I got 2 deals that are being rehabbed that we're going to sell with seller finance. So I'm kind of moving into that space. To be honest with you guys, I'm going to be new to it, but I'm going to update you as we learn every week. We're talking about that.
And for us,
And I have
we're
some
doing.
friends. We have some friends like Mitch Steven, for example. Freaking love this guy. Love this guy. And he's doing all that. He doesn't even mess with anything else. He buys it and he sells it to people, and he's the bank. And there's tons of money to be made in both arenas, guys. There's pros and cons to both too. So educate yourself on that.
Yeah, for me, we do more wholesale and flips. But I've also just got someone else, a partner of mine, Dustin, that's come on. So we're going to be doing a lot more creative finance, sub-twos, lease options, and seller finance as well. So I'm excited to see how we can kind of get that ratio more of a 50-50 split. Okay.
Love it. Love it.
Real quick, next question. How many hours per day for cold calls? No, sorry. What hours of the day are best for cold calling? And does it change for SMS? I know what I do, but what about you, Dave? When are you?
I'm curious to hear what you do.
Okay, so for me, I'll give you. I do all day.
Me too.
Through someone, but that's not going to answer if you're brand new. There's 2 ways that you need to do it, in my opinion. If you're brand new, you need to start with 4 hours a day. You're going to take the 9 till 1 shift or the 3 till 7 shift. Okay. And then what you're going to do, this is really important, is that you're going to call that list at least 2 times round. On the 3rd time round, you're going to move your 9 till 1 cold call if you can only afford one, and you're going to put them into the 3 till 7.
Stagger them.
What that means is that then you're hitting people that work the day job. You might get them in the evening. Then I got one better. Next time you hire your second cold caller, you're going to have a 9 till 1 and you're going to have a 3 till 7. And then you will rotate the list between them. So you're hitting multiple people. So that's what I would do if I was getting started.
I love it. So really the best time is anytime. It's better. I mean, anytime is better than no time. That's number 1. Number 2, if you have the ability to stay organized and you can stagger your list, do so, right? But I think narrowing it down, don't text at 5:30 in the morning or 11:30 at night, guys. Let's be real. Like, you don't want to get those texts and nobody else does. So, 9 to 7 typically is going to be your best area. But again, 4 hours a day, Gavin, I love that. Start with that. Don't try to dedicate an entire day to it because you're going to get burned out. 3 to 4 hour shifts at a time, I think, is great. My VAs work 4-hour shifts. And we're doing 9 to 6, but 9 to 7 is probably even better, guys. Even better.
Yeah. So that's just a quick one on that. Right. Couple more questions left. Let's go to this one. What CRM are you using now for automation follow-ups and leads? I've seen Dave mention a couple of different ones. I'll just go real quick on this. I think people get hung up with the CRM, right? We've got, I use Podio, we use FreedomSoft, we got REI Blackbook, who Dave used, who Kevin was just on. I think, a shout out to kind of everyone with the CRM. They all do similar things, all right, and they work in a similar way. Now, they would probably disagree with me if you get into the finer details, but the reality is, if you're starting, they've all got some kind of autoresponders. Again, autoresponders for me for follow-up should only be to cold lead. Someone that's like, no, I'm not really interested or wants crazy price. Then they will go on to an automation as a touch point to get them back on the phone. So I don't think I don't know, Dave, you might have one that you want.
So here's the deal, guys. Pros and cons. I use several too. But I would suggest
you should only use one.
Yeah, so I would suggest that you don't do what we are doing by using several and pick one. So pros and cons, guys. REI Blackbook is probably the best out there. All right. It literally does everything. All right. The you're going to pay for that though. You're going to spend a couple $100 a month on this service. But to me, it's worth it because you can do websites, you can do buyers list, you can do automated follow-ups. It's got a full CRM. It's got a marketing platform, a property posting platform, websites, landing pages. I mean, the list is like a mile long of all the cool stuff that they do. But again, you're going to pay for it. So if you're brand new and you can't afford that, there's other cheaper solutions that you can get you by in the meantime. You had mentioned Podio. We've been using Podio and still do for other things in our business. That's not even necessarily motivated seller leads. And it's like, it's a lot more cost effective. So pros and cons. But Podio, just as a disclaimer, you have to build it all out yourself. Nothing's built. You're starting from scratch. I wouldn't use Podio unless you're going on a platform where they build it like Beast Mode or one of them.
Me too.
I mean, we use obviously FreedomSoft, and this is where it comes down to opinions. Dave's just said REI Blackbook's the best in the market. I think FreedomSoft. I don't know REI Blackbook though, so it's down to an opinion. And this is what you got to understand out there, guys, is that you only need one. The reason I have FreedomSoft and I use Podio, and I'm looking at other ones, is because obviously from a coaching level, I want to make sure that if I have a client using it, that I can have some like interest in it and help.
Yeah, and some are better for wholesaling versus landlording. Like think about landlording. Like you need to be able to manage leases and you need to be able to manage expenses and accounting. So like, there's definitely different things for different people. But here's the main thing though, guys. Pick one and just start. Right? That's the main thing. Just start. Right?
And we're going to put this, I'm going to add this in. We're going to give a lead sheet away, right? Basically what a lead sheet is, I don't have it right now, but you can print these off and you can literally use folders like this. Okay. Like this. You don't need your name on it, but you can have a folder that says 4 folders: new, hot, warm, and cold follow up. And literally you have your lead sheet. You have your lead sheet, and then you go and you put them in the folders. If that's what it takes to get going, to cancel all the noise out, to get a deal, then that's going to work. That's how I started as well.
Love it.
So I just want to say, right, last question, and we're going to go after this one. All right, is here. So driving for dollars data that I collected from market from 1 year ago. I mailed them 5 months last year. I mailed them for 5 months last year. So basically, should he go back and start another mail campaign to that list again?
So you have a Driving for Dollars data list. So it's a list that you collected, I'm assuming, on your own, visually distressed properties that you handpicked, added to the list. And that was a year ago. So first and foremost, don't let it take a whole year between your drives. Go drive for dollars again, man. Like keep doing that. Make that a weekly activity, maybe even a daily. I have some students that are doing 3 to 4 hours a day. I have other students that's all they do, and they pay people to drive for them, and they sit in the office and work those leads. So start driving for dollars again. When it comes to mailing, I'd say 4 to 6 times is typically a good amount. You've already hit them 5 times. Maybe hit them one more time, right?
Yeah.
Can't hurt.
Probably want them on maybe a 3-month cycle, but I'm going to leave you with one thing I want to talk about on this because I think you're going to get a lot from it. A driving for dollars list is going to be a small list. Okay, you might get 100. We might be talking 50, 100, 150, 200, right?
Yeah, over a couple weeks, you may get it up to a few thousand, guys, but that's over weeks in time, right?
But because they are so small, you need to be hitting them in all marketing channels. You should be calling them, texting them, and doing direct mail. Here's why. What you'll learn about marketing as you get into it is that there's different ways that you I don't know what the right word is, but you take on marketing, right? For instance, if you send me a postcard, I am not going to call you. If you send me a text, I am not going to respond to you. But if you call me, I'm answering. That's just me personally. So the way that people will work, they will not respond to texts or calls, but they'll call a direct mail. So my point is that you could take 10 leads and test this, and you could call and text and direct mail to all 10, and you will get different leads and maybe one person that did a couple of options. Right. That's how marketing works. So a small list, because you can afford it, because we're talking a little amount, you should be doing all 3 ways for a driving for dollars list, in my opinion. So I wanted to finish off with that. And Dave,
No, man, I
I'm gonna
love
let you
it.
wrap us up. I'm gonna let you wrap us up.
No, that's awesome, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. This is literally episode 1, Coffee with Closers live. We love helping people, answering questions, talking real estate. We have different backgrounds and different expertise, me, Gavin, and Don. So we have a really, really good panel. And of course, who doesn't like coffee? This has been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you for watching. Every Wednesday morning, depending on where you live, 9 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, noon on the East Coast, 11 Central here where I'm at. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. Signing off, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. I like it. Thanks, guys. Cheers, Dave. Bye-bye.